The great monarchs of India. A ruler's success depends on his qualities. The abilities of his ministers, the state treasury, the wealth of the main city, the wealth of his provinces, the army, and the ability to form strong allies. Mauryan dynasty. The Mauryan dynasty established the first ever empire in India. An empire comprises several kingdoms brought together under the rule of a single ruler or emperor. Chandragupta Maurya. He was the first ruler of the Mauryan dynasty. Chandragupta Maurya ruled the Mauryan Empire from 320 BC to 298 BC under the guidance and keen eye of his guru, that is, mentor Chanakya. Chandragupta Maurya was a very successful ruler since he took great care of his people. He encouraged the progress of art and culture of the land along with the development in other aspects of the empire. Mauryan Empire included prosperous cities like Pataliputra, Takshila, and Ujjain. Emperor Ashoka, Chandragupta Maurya's grandson. Ashoka, Bindusara's son, was another great ruler of the Indian subcontinent. In fact, praising this great monarch, the well-known historian H. G. Wells is said to have remarked that amidst the tens of thousands of names that crowd the columns of history, the name of Ashoka shines and shines almost alone like a star. Emperor Ashoka was greatly inspired by Buddhism and chose to win people with kindness, love, and compassion instead of a display of force, strength, and power unlike most kings. Ashoka popularized the concept of Dhamma, the right living, as can be seen engraved on his edicts. Dhamma is a Prakrit term for Sanskrit word dharma, which means the universal law of righteousness. Ashoka wanted his people to develop the spirit of tolerance, peaceful coexistence, and non-violence. The concept of right living was considered to be a result of some simple actions like obeying and respecting others, religious tolerance, charity, peaceful coexistence, kindness and compassion towards all, especially slaves and servants, non-violent behavior in daily life. Ashoka took great care of his empire and developed proper infrastructure such as roads, houses, hospitals, schools, etc., and also strengthened the economy of his empire. Gupta dynasty. The Gupta dynasty comprises rulers who were great conquerors and good administrators. This era is called the Golden Age of India. Chandragupta I is given credit for founding the dynasty in 320 AD. He was an able king and revived many principles of Mauryan governance. He was succeeded by his son Samudragupta, who was a tireless conqueror. Chandragupta II. He succeeded his father Samudragupta and was also called Vikramaditya, which means the son of prowess. He expanded the kingdom across Malwa, Gujarat and Bengal and did great work in the field of art and literature. The great poet Kalidas and the scientist Aryabhatta belong to this era. Fa Xian was the first of the Chinese pilgrims who visited India during the reign of the Emperor Chandragupta II. He stayed in India for 10 years. In the 4th century, Aryabhatta calculated the length of the solar year as 365.358 days. It was only 3 hours over the figure calculated by modern scientists. In 16th century, Copernicus gave the reading 365.2563666 for a mean solar day. The famous game of chess originated in India during the reign of Gupta dynasty. The great epics of Mahabharata and Ramayana were written during this period. The great monarchs of India. The Mughal Empire. The Mughals, descendants of Timur, attacked India in 1398. The Mughal Empire made a strong and long-lasting impact on India, which is seen prominently in Indian art, architecture and culture. The word Mughal was actually derived from the word Mongol, a tribe of China. Babur. Babur ascended the throne at the tender age of 12 after the sudden death of his father Umar Sheikh Mirza. He established Mughal rule in India after winning the Battle of Panipat in 1526. His son Humayun and grandson Akbar were also great monarchs who contributed a lot to Indian history and left a mark on its rich culture and tradition. Akbar. Emperor Akbar is certainly one of the greatest and most popular Mughal rulers. He succeeded the throne as a young lad at the age of 14. However, it did not take him time to learn the art of ruling the empire under the tutelage of Bairam Khan. Both fought the Second Battle of Panipat in 1556 and defeated Hemu, who had declared himself the king of Delhi. Akbar was successful not just at keeping his half-brother Mirza Hakim, governor of Kabul, from revolting, but also the Uzbeks who did not want him to spread his rule. Slowly and steadily, between 1570 and 1585, Akbar captured Gujarat, Bihar and Bengal. Between 1585 and 1591, he also took over Kabul, Kandahar, Kashmir and Sindh. The Akbarnama and Ain-e-Akbari are rich sources of information on Akbar's period and were penned by Abul Fazi, one of the 9 jewels of Akbar's court. These dealt with valuable information on his administration, including crops, yields, wages for different kinds of labor and revenues, etc. Akbar believed in developing good allies rather than conquering all those around him. He therefore kept a good and secular attitude towards his contemporary kings, especially the strong kings of the Rajputana region. They, in return, acknowledged his supremacy and even aided him in expanding and consolidating the Mughal Empire. Shah Jahan, Akbar's grandson, Prince Khurram, better known as Shah Jahan or ruler of the world, was a brave warrior. He ascended the throne in 1628. Shah Jahan was a great ruler and did a lot of work on his Deccan and foreign policies. That period was ridden of famine and plague. Abdul Hamid Lahori, a great historian in Shah Jahan's court, described the great ruler's strategies to control these calamities. The exquisite peacock throne, which Shah Jahan commissioned for himself, is believed to have been worth millions of dollars by modern estimates. It was decorated with 108 rubies, 116 emeralds, and several rows of pearls. The period under Shah Jahan's rule in India is regarded as a golden age in India for art and architecture. He commissioned many beautiful monuments across the country. The most beautiful of them was the Taj Mahal, built in memory of his beloved third wife, Mumtaz Mahal. The Taj Mahal was declared a World Heritage Site by the UNESCO in 1983. He also built the Moti Masjid for members of his royal court. Masjid-e-Jahanuma, commonly known as Jama Masjid of Delhi, was built by Shah Jahan for the common people in 1650 AD. This mosque is regarded as the largest and most popular mosque in India even today. The Great Monarchs of India. The Maratha Empire. Chhatrapati Shivaji. Shivaji was a Maratha aristocrat of the Bhosle clan in Maharashtra and is regarded as the founder of the Maratha Empire. He is known as Chhatrapati, a title equivalent to that of Emperor. Shivaji, a master of warfare, was particularly expert in combating his enemy even in the difficult and mountainous terrain of Maharashtra. He built a strong army and navy. He built strategically located forts and developed a strong intelligence network of people. He believed in religious tolerance and treated all people with equal respect. Systems of revenue collection were systematic. Even in those days, he had departments dealing in internal security, foreign affairs, finance, law and order, justice, religious matters, defense, etc. Shivaji was truly a great monarch, a visionary, someone who had great foresight. Shivaji's tactical doctrine is described as Ganimi Kava. He was the pioneer of guerrilla methods of warfare, using military tactics like ambushes, sabotage, raids with the elements of surprise and extraordinary mobility and tricks to fight against a possibly stronger opponent. The Chola Kingdom. Raja Chola, one of the great emperors of South India, was Raja Chola of Chola dynasty, who ruled during the 9th century, that is, between 985 and 1014 CE. A valiant conqueror, Raja Chola expanded his empire up to Sri Lanka in the south and Kalinga in the northeast part of India. He was a very capable administrator and encouraged art and culture in his empire. The Brihadishwara temple in Tanjavur, Gangaikonda, Cholapuram, the Airateshwara temple in Dharasuram are standing examples of Raja Chola's and his successors' love for art, architecture and culture.